Good day, everybody. I'm Shmi, and I make guides for Path of Exile's Ruthless mode. If you're enjoying the content, please hit that like button, and feel free to subscribe if you want more. Today I'm back to talk to you about Trial of the Ancestors and today's patch. My first attempt at the League mechanic last week was a comedy of errors, but I pretty quickly got a grasp of it. I had a whole lot of fun and immediately started churning out victories. I had this whole explanation ready about how Trial of the Ancestors was like American football. Your attackers were like receivers. You could either control the center and push, kind of like running the ball in football, or you could distract your opponents in the center while your attackers got behind the defense, kind of like passing the ball in football. This comparison is still vaguely accurate, but then this patch. Oh boy. Now, my ranking is still pretty low, so don't get me wrong, I'm not an expert with hundreds of hours in TOTA, but my immediate reaction is that Chris Wilson saw all of the TOTA farming guides on YouTube and he got a little upset. This patch has done two big things. First, it removed most of your personal ability to influence the fight, and second, it drastically changed how you engage with Favour. I played for a couple hours this morning, and I was able to figure out a winning strategy, at least for lower levels. Sadly, a lot of the complexity seems to be removed. It's much less like football now and much more like rock, paper, scissors. Previously, the opposing tribe chiefs were hostile, but not really deadly. Now, opposing chiefs can kill you. Easily. Even if you're tanky. It was always the case that tribe chiefs were either aggressive, like Yutola, defensive, like Mata, or controlling, like Rakyata or Ikayaho. This influenced an overall strategy, but now you just rock, paper, scissors your way through it. With the patch, I feel like TOTA became a lot less about your ability to influence the battlefield, but instead is simply about scheming and trapping your opponent's initial surge. Do they send out an all-out attack? Well, then put one unit on offense and spend the match preoccupying your opponent in your own base while your one random attacker nukes down their entire undefended base. Do they instead put all their units on defense? Well, then you don't need a defense and can all-out attack. But not you personally, because you can't take on the majority of units like you used to. You will hang back and distract while your warriors take down their towers. Seriously, it's faster if you just distract their defense while your offensive warriors take down the towers than it is to try to do it yourself. And don't bother trying to kill tanky defensive warriors. Their respawn times are virtually nothing. Just distract while your team does all the work. The end result is that, to go back to my original American football comparison, you aren't the quarterback anymore. You're just the coach. Your one and only job is to assess the enemy's initial setup for weaknesses, set an attack that directly counters that weakness, and then hang back and make sure nothing stupid happens in your own base. If you try to do much yourself, you get overwhelmed quickly and fail. As you progress further into the tournament, the weaknesses just become a little bit less obvious. Instead of an open, undefended base, Yutola will put a couple of the junkiest units on defense. The strategy's the same, but now there's an extra 30 seconds or so where you stall and wait for your units to get the job done. The higher ranking you get, and the more starting units you get to work with, the more slowed down the game becomes. You'll spend most of your time distracting, while your team slowly whittles away at their totems. Eventually, you may get to a point where you can overpower their team, but it just takes a lot longer. The team management shifted a lot as well. Before this patch, my general strategy was to take whatever matches early on offered me the most total favor. This in turn meant that I could buy more warriors and equipment. But when I tried this now after the patch, I immediately ran into the angry baseball bat wielding biker gang equivalent of a TOTA squad. Now, the amount of favor offered in a match directly correlates, or perhaps more exaggeratedly correlates, to the difficulty of that match. If you spam the highest favor matches, you'll get slapped down quickly by teams twice the size of your own. Instead, you have to be a lot more intentional and deliberate about whose favor you're trying to earn. Instead of taking the matches that offer the most favor, you want to select matches that offer a middling total favor, but only of tribes that you're currently using. Good use of favor is less about bulk and more about efficiency. This means that from the first match of a tournament, you need to be a lot more deliberate about how you build your team. You need to really examine which opposing chiefs offer units or equipment worth taking, and then enter the next match trying to earn their favor. While most of the changes have been a pretty hard hit to power level for players, there's been one change that I've actually really liked. Now, when you purchase something from a chieftain, they will restock their inventory with something else instead of the same thing. This lets you plan forward for whose favor you're going to earn without touching their inventory, while also being able to refresh the inventory of chiefs whose favor you've already earned. This in turn then lets you see a lot more quality equipment and warriors, since chiefs refresh their inventory with new items. It lets, but also requires you to earn specific favor to buy good warriors and equipment later on. In a way, the patch today made it so that the minions you're offered after the very first round matter a lot more. If you choose your first round match to gain favor with the hope of buying some specific units, but they don't get offered to you, then that chief is stuck with an inventory you probably don't want. And unfortunately, you can't see the inventories before you choose your first match. You have to choose favor to earn before you know if it's worth earning. This means that there's a lot bigger influence of luck. Did you get offered either bad warriors or nothing you can afford after your first match? Well, then you ain't winning this tournament. Overall, the patch hit Trial of the Ancestors pretty hard. Make no mistake, you will die more. You will lose more. However, the rewards are still very high quality. I don't think Standard League players are going to be farming 20 divines per hour anymore. But in Ruthless mode, TOTA is a fantastic mechanic for getting incredibly high quality items. In about an hour this morning, I was able to farm up all of this. Trial of the Ancestors got a lot harder, especially for us Ruthless players, but it is still worth it. Thank you for watching, and until next time, take care, Exiles.